stories, real healing, real heart. Body Banter's where the conversations start. From illness to resilience, we're sharing it all. The Body Banter podcast, answer the call.
So, welcome to the Body Banter. And yes, we've been absent for quite a while. You might wonder where we've been. For those people who've been watching and then all of a sudden it sadly stopped. Well, yeah, I've been in a bit of a way myself. I've been doing all sorts of things and had a bad eye and had a bad head and all sorts. And John's also had a few problems to sort out. And, it just goes to show that you need people to talk to, and that's why we enter the Body Banter. Now, today we're going to talk about something close to John's heart, and, I don't know whether people understand this word, narcissism. Now, people exhibit narcissism due to a combination of psychological, genetic, and environmental factors. John, what's your opinion of narcissism, and how do you think people are born with it, or what?
They're not born with it. It's something that grows with them. There's a young lady who's a single mum. I won't say her name, and she has a son. What happened was he refused to go to a senior school. He didn't want to go. And in the end, I had to talk him down just to bring him down because he was in such a panic state that he was refusing to do anything. So I talked him down, managed to get him in the car, took him home, and then we finished up getting the forms and everything for mum to homeschool. So this is 2 years ago now. Recently, I've just seen mum, and we were shopping, and I just said to him, "Oh, hello." I said his name. I won't say his name on here. He just went, My 2 children who was best friends with him, I said, "Oh, they're here." And then he started loading things into the shopping cart, just random stuff, just throwing it in as if he had the permission to do it, as if it was his right. And I'm thinking, whoa, why are you not saying you can't have that, you can't have that? She's not saying nothing. So these, I can see his future is going to be wanting this sort of treatment from whoever he finishes up, lands up in a partnership with, marriage or whatever. I'm sad to say, but this is a potential narcissist. He's been brought up to be narcissistic in his mannerisms, and he's going to have wants and needs. And if he doesn't get the wants and needs, he will start to be the victim. He'll start to plead the victim. And this is what narcissists do. They like all the attention. They like to be the centre of attention. They like to be told how good they are. And if people around them are not saying how good they are, they'll walk away from them to go to victims. And a victim could be a potential partner who he really likes, think, well, I like you. And she might mistakenly fall for this person as well. And they'll start to realise to do what you call love bombing. And they'll bomb them with all sorts of love things, letters, flowers, and make them feel so loved that they're the only one on this universe. And then they'll get them inside the folds of their wings. They'll take them into a home, set up a home. Then they will lock the doors, and that person is now a victim. They don't realise they're a victim yet. They just think they're with this loveliest person. Now, it could be a man or a woman. It's not necessarily men who do this. Women do the same. And then they start locking them in. Then they start to pick who they can see and who they can't see as friends. I don't really like that one. I don't like this one. Gradually, the friends list starts to get smaller and smaller until they have none. And then it works on the family as well. Well, your mother doesn't like me. I don't really think you should go see your mother as much as you do, and I don't think it's right. So gradually, the parents are getting worried about the young child, whoever it is, male or female, and they wonder, why won't you talk to me? Then they start to become really anti their partner, and then the partner will start to become the victim. They'll say, "Oh, well, I don't know why she's like this. I don't know why she won't come to see you." And then they start gaslighting. So when this gaslighting starts, everybody looks at the victim of the narcissist as the person who's the instigator of it all. And the narcissists love this attention, and this is how it builds up.
Is that another word for spoilt brat?
I would say so, yeah. Absolutely spoilt brat. They're absolutely ruined. Totally ruined.
Why do you think mothers do that?
because they love them so much, they don't want to hurt their feelings. And then the worst thing is these video games. Before the video games, you had a lot of quite decent children. And then suddenly video games came on the go. And then as a punishment, what do? Take the video game. And these kids kick up a storm. They scream and punch. And they get their own way. And they think, all I have to do is scream and punch and I'll get my own way. And then they're brought up this way. So then they start to get their own way and they love getting their own way. They feel good about themselves and you mean nothing. You mean nothing to them at all. Emotionally, empathy-wise, everything, you just don't mean nothing. As long as they're the centre of the world in your family, then they're happy. But if they stop being the centre of the world, you're nothing to them. You are nothing at all.
So when we look at narcissists on the internet, there's lots of information about it, and it starts with childhood experiences, factors such as parental influences, emotional support, and the level of empathy received during childhood can shape the development of a narcissistic trait. Now, what happens when you grow up, you become 16, are you still a narcissist?
Well, it depends. I mean, the human beings are very tactile. We're born tactile. We're one of the few species that can die without touch. But there are some parents, so all they do is argue amongst themselves in front of the children. They see the man belittling the woman, and if they love the father enough, they're going to follow in their footsteps and become that belittler. Then they'll think it's normal. They'll think that everything what they're watching by their parents is absolutely normal, and outside of that house, everybody must do it. They all must be doing it as well, but nobody talks about it. So when they go to school, no one's talking about it. So they think, oh, they must be beating their family up as well. So the grow is peership, and then they grow up wondering, why is this woman so nice? Why is she so nice? Oh, I'm not used to this. And then they start to want to change them, to start to bring out a side of them that they've been brought up with. So they'll try and change people, and it's sad. It's very, very sad.
As a professional teacher, John, and you're a clinical hypnotherapist, I've seen it in schools where, this is the problem in schools where there's lots of terrible discipline. For example, you'll tell a child off, I'm telling my mother about you. Well, tell your mother, you just reply. I told my mother about you and she told me to tell you to F off. Now, is that narcissism, or is it just, I don't know, why would a parent tell the child to do something to the teacher?
It's bad education. That's what it is. It's bad, and it's not the teacher's fault.
No.
It's the parents prior to having a child being brought up in such a way that in a lot of before a parent could be fined for not letting the children go to school. A lot of parents didn't let the children go to school for whatever. They couldn't be bothered to get up in the morning. I'm too lazy. So they're missing a lot of education. They're missing a lot of days. And it becomes normal to the point, even silly things like when I was at school, my parents always made us look after our teeth. And we had to and look after your teeth. We was brought up looking after your teeth. The very first ever Colgate advertisement that was a big posters in Hull was my mum. That was my mum's teeth on there. So we was brought up with this. And then I'm going to school and I'm talking my parents would brush your teeth every day. And then the children in there were saying to me, just get them all out. It's a waste of time. Get them all out. My mum and dad did. Look at that. They don't have to no more worries anymore. I'm thinking, and I'm picturing going, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, why are you talking like this? It's because the parents are bringing them up in that way. So they don't know any different.
Also, narcissism, according to Google, it says that research suggests that traits can be inherited, indicating a genetic component.
It's true. A young child, up until the age of probably about 8 years of age, they haven't developed the conscious mind. So everything's just purely subconscious. It's like, as a hypnotist, I make the conscious go to sleep and talk to the subconscious, which is very literal. The conscious is your analytical part, and it will say, well, no, I don't believe what you're saying, and it'll tell the subconscious, no, we don't believe that. So the subconscious will give you the chemicals in your body to not believe that. But as a child, as you're growing up, they are just purely subconscious. There's no development of the conscious brain just yet. So they can't filter out what's good and bad. They believe in Father Christmas. It's real. The tooth fairy's real. Everything's real. They don't know any different except what the parents are telling them. So when they see the parents doing these bad things to each other, that is how the subconscious say, this is normal. It's normal. We don't know any different. And then when the conscious does start to enclose, it encapsulates all the negative that they've ever seen. So they're going to grow up to be what they've been watching all their entire life and told their entire life. They don't know any different. So I come along and I do what you call deep trance hypnosis. And I go really deep down, go into the core memories, and we start to change things round and let them see it now from an adult's perspective in this day and age, from the real world, not from what the narcissistic or the bad things they've seen growing up with. I mean, some of them seen the dad stab the mother and the mother stab the dad, and things like this in really bad arguments. And this is this memory stuck in there. So we can remove all that and put bring an empathy back into a human being and make them realise that it's wrong.
Do you think it can be cured medically?
In which cured in what way? Narcissism.
Can you take tablets, or does it need somebody like you to get deep into the mind?
That is a really good question, because some don't want it. They like to be the centre of their world, and they will move away from anything that infringes on their beliefs, on their own mind. If it's a test, if they're trying to test them to say, well, it's one of the strangest subjects. I mean, I've had people who have come to me for therapy who are borderline in narcissism, but they're realizing that there's something wrong with themselves and they want to find out what it is. So using the metaphors that I do use before I'm doing a therapy, and as the podcast go on, I'll actually tell people about the metaphors and it might help them understand better. But this is our introduction. So the metaphors that I give them go beyond the conscious man and go to the subconscious. So the subconscious is more intrigued now, and I can put somebody in and out of a trance just by talking to them, and it's very easy. I just say things like, Mary had a little. Your subconscious is just fill that word in, lamb, okay? And I can bring you in and out by making your subconscious come forward, go back, come forward, go back. Gradually, the conscious is saying, oh, I'm bored of this, and it'll just go to sleep. And I am now your conscious brain talking to your subconscious, okay? My voice is, your subconscious believes everything what I tell it. But we talk about why you've come to see me. So with the metaphors that I've given you, I can take you back to the points where, the bad things happen, and you can watch the bad things, but become an observer, not part of it. So you're not getting all the feelings. And then if they're okay with it, I'll let them smell the smell, see the sights, and feel the feelings, so they can become part of it. And it really upsets them. While I'm sat watching them, they're upset because they know it's wrong now, because they've got an adult's mind, their own mind. But these subconscious core memories are still coming to the forefront as if it's normal. And this is where narcissism will start to build up and build up. If they can stop it, but they need to be able to be aware of it and to be aware of how it's affecting other people and how it shouldn't be. And then they don't have empathy. They have no empathy at all. They're borderline psychopaths. That's what they are.
And do you think, John, that you go through this childhood being a narcissist, and you get to 16, 17, 18, then you go on to employment, then you get a girlfriend or a boyfriend nowadays, whatever it may suit you, they still won't believe that they are a narcissist. And many people watching this, John, will say, it's crap.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're the narcissists.
They don't want to believe it.
That'll be them. They're a victim of their own mind, but that's not their fault. I can't blame them for being like that. It's how they've been brought up. Before the conscious mind started to develop and became part of the brain, they didn't have a filter. So the conscious filters what it allows in, what it believes, what it doesn't believe. And, I can say to you, yeah, I went on the moon, with one of the astronauts, and your conscious brain's going, oh, you never. And your subconscious is going, no, you never. And it'll give you all these feelings to allow you to feel and sense that this person's a liar. Okay, so there's little traits that you can watch. They'll call micro movements, and you can see liars, and you can see somebody who's a narcissist by asking the right questions as well. There's certain questions you can ask, but nobody's going to come out and say, "Are you a narcissist?" They go, "Oh no." Do you know my wife? She really treats me really bad. I don't know what it is about her. There's something wrong with her. And they start gaslighting and passing it on to other people, putting the onus away from themselves. And that's a true narcissist. Will always deflect. And if the way to get away from a narcissist is to agree with them, they hate that because they'll accuse you of something. You're like, yeah, you're right. I think I better change. And they go, what? They hate it. They want you to feel upset. And they want you to argue so that they can become the victim. So there's ways of putting a narcissist in the place just by adding little words to a sentence, and the narcissist will walk away from you.
What should school teachers do?
School teachers, I mean, like there's subjects that are not even brought up at school. I mean, on the radio this morning, there's a woman who talks to deaf people, and there's not enough deaf interpreters. And she said it should be on the curriculum. If children want to learn how to speak with sign language, they should be able to, because there's plenty of work out there as an interpreter. And teachers, they need to. I mean, a lot of teachers do take notice of the children and how they behave. But you may notice one that wants to be the centre of attention, wants to be really the focus of attention, and starts to demean others, especially the girls, and starts to pick on them, say, look at your hair, look at the state of you. That's what they've been watching the father say to the mother. So then they'll think it's okay to do it to the school friend. They should watch out for the little things and then bring them to one side and say, why? And sit them down and say, why are you like this? And, educate them to that it's wrong. You should not be like that. And you should apologise and start to make that person feel better, not worse. And if you can do that before like the age of 8, and the teacher grabs them before they grow into that conscious brain starts to develop, before it gets locked in, I think it will help a lot of future wives, put it that way.
I've experienced this, John, in a school where you're right, it's mainly the girls, and there's one particular girl, I just dreaded the class because I knew it was going to be like this. She's just going to spoil the class all the way through. Yeah. So the policy of the school was to ring the parents after the lesson, or when you get the quickest chance, and say, I'm school teacher so-and-so from so-and-so school, and I need to inform you of your child's bad behaviour at school. Well, she's not like that at home, and I say, well, maybe she's not like that at home, but at school she's got to learn to address people with diplomacy and stop disrupting people. And if you can help that as a parent to do then that would be great. Well, you're the teacher. You should control them. I send them to school to be controlled by the teacher. What's the problem there? Do you think the mum's a narcissist?
They're just not educated. And also they're hiding the fact that there's something not right in the home. They're hiding that fact. They're not going to turn around and go, well, that's how we are here.
Yes.
And then somebody comes to the door, like a salesperson comes to the door, and they get told very abruptly to go forth and multiply. These children are going to see, oh, that's how you speak to people. They say, okay, then we know now how to speak to other people. If they're not our family, they're not our friends, that's how we'll speak to them then. But then they should learn they should learn decorum. They should learn, how to address people properly. But if the parents are going to say, right, you're in the school, you're not my problem anymore now, then they expect the school to take over the problem child that they've just put into that school.
But they can be suspended for disruptive behaviour in the class, because you cannot disrupt 25 kids in a class because of one person. So they get told, and then eventually they get suspended. The parents are brought in, and Then what happens? Can you go to a doctor if you feel that you're a narcissist person, or is there somebody you can see? Is there a specialist person that can help with this?
Yeah, they're called policemen. You can actually get took to court for being that way.
Can you really?
There's laws against it. Absolutely. Yeah. The victims should be reporting that to the police, and then they make a log. And every time you report it, they'll add to the log. Then they'll go around to the instigator and chat with them and ask them, why are you like you are? They'll give them a warning as well. So it can't, just to try and curb it a little bit. Some people don't take that as a warning. They take that as, no, they are the victim. Do you know what she did? She phoned the police on me. The police came to see me. I don't know why she's like this with me. Why does she do these things to me?
Mm-hmm.
And people outside are thinking, she's terrible. Just what she got. She phoned the police. She needs to phone the police, or he needs to phone the police if he's the victim. You must get the authorities involved. There's laws now that in this day and age, I mean, we're talking 2026 now. In this day and age, there are laws. If a couple have split up and if they use the children as a shield against the ex-partner, they can go to court. They can be fined. There's a lot of laws now that there's a lot of ways of stopping these people, because people have taken their own lives, and we'll come into another subject in another podcast, but they've taken their own lives because they don't know what to do, who to turn to. And these people, when they do that, Mr. Prim and Proper will sit there going, oh, I'm so sad, I don't know why she did that. Then they'll wait for the next victim. And then the next victim will be the lines of, my wife died. She took her own life. You poor thing, I'll come and look after you. Get in my house, I'm going to lock the doors, and starts all over again.
The experience I've had with that, John, is I worked at a new school, and within the first week there was one girl. Oh my God. Even it used to frighten me, because I thought, how can I handle her in front of 25 kids? And another teacher came in and was come on, let's sit you down, let's get on with this lesson. And really, it was a 25-minute lesson, and it was all taken up by this teacher trying to control this other girl. On the way out, all I heard was the kids, she always gets special treatment. She always gets special treatment. It's strange, isn't it?
Well, there's different categories as well, you see. I mean, that might be ADHD, it could be any form of mental disability. It might not be her fault, but there are things that they can give that child to calm the brains down. One of the best things is omega-3. It's amazing. It is fantastic. If you've got a child who's very hyperactive, that study was done in a university, and they took some of the most unruly kids, 6 of the most unruly kids you could imagine, and put them in this university, and they gave them omega-3 every single day, right? And there was fighting amongst themselves, argumentative, disruptive, want to get out, trying to escape, and all this sort of stuff. And there was anti-disestablishmentarianism. That was terrible. The omega-3 was still given to them in different ways, like squirting onto the food and stuff, but they still got it in the system without them even knowing. After 6 weeks, they calmed down. All of them started calming down. The brain waves was calming down. And then they started reading books. And by about the 8th week, you couldn't get them out of the library. They calmed down so much. And it was the omega-3. But it was a very powerful one with shark and everything inside of it. And it was a really good experiment, and it worked. So omega-3 has been recommended for ADHD or from any sort of disruptive behaviour, and it works really, really well. So that's a little...
years ago, they used to give children milk at school. I think they should do omega milk.
We used to get the milk, and we used to get a little straw, just suck the cream off the top first before you started drinking the milk. And I was very good at school because I was a milk monitor, so there.
You got to carry the crate. You got to carry the crates of milk.
Well, there is a little joke about school as well. I say it about myself, and I say, well, when I was at school, I was very disruptive in every single lesson, and the teachers used to send me into the corridor to face the wall for every single lesson. And recently, we just had a school reunion, and I only knew the cleaners. But there's a lot of children in school genuinely like that. But there is a label on them now. But it needs to be, I need to do some tests on that child, and see what it is. But the one he was talking about was very disruptive, may not be able to control the brainwave, so maybe very hyper ADHD or whatever it is. But it's worth looking into sometimes. But it's just, it's not a label, but it's something that it could be checked into, and it might not be that child's fault, and it might not be the parents' fault either.
I don't think that they should be meant to go to a mainstream school because it's disruptive behaviour, whatever they've got, whether it's HD or whatever you call it, narcissism or any of it. It just is too much responsibility on the teacher and the school, because once you lock them doors in the school, it's the headmaster's responsibility and the teacher's responsibility for the care of those children. And, if they can't be controlled at home, why should they be let loose in a school to cause bedlam and mayhem?
Well, there is one flip side to that. They're stuck in a house with the parents until it's time to go to school, from being a young age all their life. And then suddenly they start school. And the idea is, hopefully they'll copy the rest of the children and start to behave like the rest of the children. And hopefully they'll start to, enjoy being around well-behaved children. So they want to be well-behaved as well, and polite children. It could have that effect on them. But on the next breath, if there is some form of mental side of it, then they're not going to blend in at all. But if they need to be given a chance first, or a few weeks at least, just to learn how to behave like the rest of the children. But if they can't do that, then that should ring an alarm bell. That should maybe get them tested and see if they're on the spectrum in some form or shape.
Interesting. Do you think empathy comes into it with narcissism?
No, there's no empathy with a narcissist whatsoever. That is, in fact, I think that would be a swear word to a narcissist. A narcissist is me, me, me. That's all they are. They want to be the centre of the world. They need to be the focal point of every single room. No matter where they go, look at me. And there's a song, isn't there? Look at me, I'm Sandra D. Well, this is them. They are the Sandra Ds, male or female. They just like to be the centre of attention. And if they're not, they will ridicule you. And then when you start getting upset, they'll be saying, "Oh, what's the matter with you?" And then start putting you down. Then they feel this power over you. And when you are submit because you're bombarded with this negative. And in the end, you're just so weak, you just can't stand it anymore. You just give in. And then you might sit in the corner sucking your thumb because you just had enough. But you're not going to win with this person. But there are ways now you can win. And it's called dial the police.
So if you're in a relationship and you've been in this bad relationship, let's use the word, is there such a word as low society, estates and things like that? What would you call that? People who live on a council estate. I'm not tarring the brush that everybody's the same, because they're not. But I usually find that the schools that have a low unemployment and live on a council estate and receive benefits and don't have jobs, the parents cause a lot of hassle, even with the children. And do you think that's where the children pick it up? And how do you, let's say I've got a wife and how do I know she's a narcissist? You've got a husband, how do you know they're a narcissist?
Well, behaviour, obviously, but unfortunately, not necessarily council estates, but people in general, if they're on a very low income, all they can afford is a few beers, and then they start drinking alcohol. Then they start arguing amongst themselves because they're drunk. And then the police come down and they start splitting them all up and maybe take one into cells for the night and then send them back home again. So then they start having to go at the children and start shouting at the kids, "Yeah, get out my way. It's your fault we're like this. If you lot wasn't born," and they tell them that they shouldn't be born. So then the children start thinking, "It's my fault, isn't it? I'm the cause of this, aren't I?" And they're not. Do you know what I mean? But this is a narcissist. They like to pass the blame to everybody, including the kids. If they've got a dog, that dog will be the most mistreated dog you've ever seen. It will be kicked, punched, because they like the power over everything, including animals as well.
Wow, that's terrible, and there's an awful lot of it. Relationships and family pressures, I think, are the biggest cause, because if you've got an husband that's abusive, the child constantly sees that, especially if you're a boy. I reckon you're going to end up being like your father, aren't you?
Yeah, my father was very loving.
Is that why you're a loving daddy?
That's why I've got a lot of empathy for everybody. I really have, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, my father was amazing, absolutely amazing. My mum, amazing. My mum did everything that mums in our younger days was expected to do, and she worked as well. My dad worked, so yeah. I'm sorry, I'm rocking the table here. So yeah, our upbringing
So why
was
have
very,
things
very nice.
changed, John? Why have things changed so dramatically that in our
Drugs.
days? Really?
Drugs. I see people who I know, and I won't say any names, but I work in the pubs and the clubs. I work as an entertainer as well, besides doing this. I see people going into the toilets, and these are parents with children, and they have little packets of white powder, and they start sniffing it, and it makes them into these people that think that they're indestructible. They want to take on the world. They want to fight everybody, or they want to argue with somebody. And if they have got narcissistic traits, it amplifies it exponentially. It just makes them even worse than what there was before they started sniffing this stuff. But drugs and alcohol is playing a big part on low income people. I'm thinking, how can you afford that? But then you find out they're going out robbing and stealing from shops to sell what they've sold just to buy drugs. And these are people that have got children. And I know these people.
Yeah, look, we're living in a world in a society now where the economy is terrible. People are struggling to meet demands. Schools are overcrowded. And, I suppose it brings out the birth of these,
Yeah, I mean, society in general is changing with the advent of the internet, with Facebook, with social media. It's changing. Social media is causing more divorces than's ever been recorded. It's ridiculous. And all these secret chats with people and stuff, and then they find out, oh, you're talking to, what are you talking to him for? What are you talking to her for? Yeah. It could be perfectly innocent, and then again, it might not. But then you find that they're going through their own little turmoils. But the children are part of this as well. The children who watch this antisocial stuff going inside their own home, and they have to go to school and try and be well behaved at school, and they're upset because they don't know whose side of the are. I mean, my dad's side or my mum's side. They just don't know. It's a shame.
Well, we've been talking to John Green and myself, Sean Martin from the Body Banter, and if you feel like you've been affected by this podcast, we'd like to hear from you, because you may feel that that sounds like me, or that sounds more like my son, or I know somebody like that, and you want further help, then please get in touch, because that's the most important thing. You can get in touch with us from this YouTube podcast. If you leave a message, we look at these every hour, so and we'll contact you back if you leave your information. So don't feel like you're ever alone, and you want to know more about narcissism, then we're here to help. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and everything we say isn't 100% correct, because everybody's different. What we see is our experience, what we feel is our experience, and what we've, in today's society, you can't help but think, these kind of people live among us. So thank you for watching. Thanks, John. Last words from you.
Yeah, it's not all one suits all, one fit for everybody. It's all unique. And just it's not that's so much of a plug, but some people don't realise that they're getting those traits of being a narcissist. So what I've done, I've published 2 puzzle books. One of them is a crossword puzzle, and it's called Romancer or Gaslighter. And the other one is a word search which says romancer or gaslighter. They're on Amazon. And if you don't know, if you want your partner to find out if they have these traits, then this is the sort of thing you need to be looking at. Amazon's full of books and stuff you can look at. You might want to slip one to your partner and just say, just have a quick read of that. That sort of thing. And they'll find out if they'll be looking at these words thinking, well, that sounds like me. I hope that's not me. And I hope it brings to light that maybe you are that person.
Well, there's tons of stuff on the internet. I'm not saying everything you read on the internet is true these days, but I suppose, factual information. And if we've helped you think about something today, we've done our job. That's the most important. So keep in touch. Keep watching the Body Banter. Next episode will be about suicides, and, equally talking about these things that are important in life. Thank you from Sean and John.
Thank you.
Real stories, real healing, real heart. Body Banter's where the conversations start. From illness to resilience, we're sharing it all. The Body Banter podcast, answer the call.